away from the road. Happy that they're around. If you're wondering if I've ever seen lions injured by elephants, Spaz, I haven't particularly. I've seen elephants charging and chasing lions away. Let's have a look at this elephant here. He's spotted these lions and so is not very happy right now. And I think that's why the females took those cubs off the road. Listen, off in the other direction. Wow. He really did put on a little show there. I really hope that there's not a little cub running in the grass. I don't think so. I think it's all a bit of a show from this elephant. I'm just trying to show these lions. It looks like a young male. Might be a female, but it is a youngster to try and make himself look bigger, if it is indeed a male, which it looks like. But quite concerned with those lions around, and now starting to make its way back towards the herd. I think it's feeling a little bit isolated and wouldn't want to be around the lions. The elephants are quite nervous of lions, and obviously the bigger they get, that nervousness changes into a little bit of a offensive defense. Just immediately in the sanctuary of mommy's care, Mom, look what the lions are doing to us. Well, and Mom just says, well, just calm down, they're far away. And there he goes and starts drinking again. While the lions are still moving through the grass a little bit. So I'm going to try and reposition once more, get us a nice view, and while I'm doing that and driving off, let's head you on over to Brent and see how his day is panning out.
Well, it is a beautiful evening, not much happening at the moment though. So I've decided to head towards where Jamie said that the Angama Pride disappeared on the sunrise safari, so I'm heading in that general direction and going to go have a little look. While we move through here, we got a chance at the Marsh Breakaway Pride. They liked this bottom section of this lugger, and the Angamas were up closer towards the escarpment. So we will see what luck we have today, and always a great spot for black rhino in this area. So lots to look forward to. I'm hoping we might see some pretty birds as well. I'm still chuffed about getting the Ross's Tarako earlier, and some fantastic camera work by Craig as they flew across the Mara River. Well, it sounds like Steve is also birding today, so let's go see what feathered creature he has found.
Indeed, thank you, Brent. I do have a bird with a red beak, also commonly known as the flying chili, the red-billed or southern red-billed hornbill. And I was just doing a bit of preening. There we go, look at that. That was an interesting little move. It's looking a little bit damp. There we go, there's the preen gland right there on the tail where it's touching now. And that will develop all sorts of oil that it covers on the beak and then goes through all the feathers. It's a bit damp, as I said. He's probably had a little swim, a little bath, and now is busy putting preen oil all over to waterproof those feathers, and also to act as the preen oil also works as a bit of an antimicrobial sort of wash that keeps parasites at bay. But it is the breeding season for the hornbills, so this sort of behavior always happens away from the nest or from the roosting site, because you don't want to be dropping parasites onto where you're going to be sleeping, otherwise it defeats the objects of cleaning in the first place. Look at that, isn't that such a bizarre looking face? he's not camera shy at all. What a wonderful image. Now you can hear the call. There's a typical call of the red-billed hornbill as he flies over us. He did a flyby. That was fantastic. Just doing a few ablutions there. We are at Twin Dams currently. We're just checking all the water points, because this is the time of day to find animals around water. And yeah, we're going to head off towards Treehouse Dam. there doesn't seem to be much happening at Twin Dam, so we're going to go to Treehouse Dam. And talking about water, Ralph Kirsten is up in the north with a very aquatic bird.
Yeah, normally an aquatic bird, but this one is an aquatic half-sleeping bird. He's really tucking himself in there, and I thought, I'm trying to cross this little river crossing here and get closer or a better view of the lions, but I thought it would be a little bit rude to disturb this hammerkop in this very serene setting next to a little stream, and I wonder if this is a youngster, and he seems like he might be quite content that he's had maybe a couple of frogs and tadpoles and maybe even little fish out of the water. And now he's just going for a little snooze. He's still got one eye on us though. And in this little stream we've actually spotted, it's a beautiful setting. From here we can see elephants, we've got lions, and also in the little river next to this hammerkop we're actually spotting quite a few catfish that are surfacing. And if you've got to look closely, because catfish don't have fully developed gills, they've almost got like half lungs, and so they do need to take little sips of air every now and then, and if we watch carefully you'll be able to see them surfacing. There's been a lot of them coming up to the surface, and I'm sure now that I've said that we won't see any, but if we wait just a little bit longer I'm sure we'll see one or two of them popping up. And as the name suggests, catfish, and this is the sharp-toothed catfish or Clarius gariepinus, the most common in Africa. They do get over 50 kilograms, but or what is that? It's over 150 pounds, so they do get rather large. But these ones here, quite small, even though we're not seeing any right now, but it forms the staple diet of most of crocodiles. So especially this time of year when there's not too much crossing of wildebeest and zebra through the river, the crocodile actually go and sit in the current, normally in the rapids, with their mouth open, and they wait for the catfish to come swimming downstream and touches their mouth and they snap them up. But now we're not seeing any. Oh, a couple of little risers, and I know these fish very well because I do try and catch them quite regularly with my fishing rod, and they are ferocious hunters as well. They hunt tilapia. They're a wonderful food source for crocodiles and a lot of birds as well. But they're also known for being able to walk on land. They've got very sharp barbed on their fins on the side, and they actually use that. As long as they stay moist, they can actually move between water bodies. So actually an incredible fish. But there's also some mythical folklore around them, because a lot of people believe that they're not quite water dwellers, because they can come out and walk on land. So quite interesting. Okay, let's leave the little fishies, and I'm sorry, Mr. Hammerkop, but I am going to have to disturb your little snooze because we need to get onto the other side and see what's happened with these lions. So sorry about that, my friend, but you can pop off onto the side and continue your little snooze. This is the only way for me to really go through here, but let's watch. I'm sure he'll stand up and fly off shortly. If not, I'll just try and avoid him. There he goes. Up, and he's just done exactly what I asked of him. Thank you. Good Hammerkop. Now, I wonder if we're going to get up the side of this. It is quite slippery, so it might not actually work, but let's see. Up. The Land Rover is working nicely today. Good girl. Okay, now from up here we can actually see those little cubs with their heads poking out of the grass. It almost seems like the females might have left them and gone off on their hunt. So let's stop here, let's have a look at where these little cubs are stationed, and those females continued on through the grass. I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually on the hunt, because the way that they were looking across the plains seemed like they might want to see if there's any unlucky warthogs running around. So we'll just see those little cubs, and then we'll try and catch up with the females. Alright, so that's where they've left them. Let's go on now and see if we can find where these... Oh, there they are. I think they're right up front. They're actually very far up front, and they're hunting, everybody. So I'm going to try and catch up with them. They are quite a way off from us. So, while we try and catch up with them and see if they're going to hunt anything, let's head you all the way back on down south to South Africa. And hi, Scott. Scott, I think, has also got some lions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this sighting with the Nkuhuma Pride of Lioness. They are busy feeding on a zebra, as you can see, that they caught sometime in the early hours of the morning. As soon as Steve headed out on drive this morning, he bumped into them. It's just 2 lioness and 1 young cub that are here. And for those of you who were with us on the sunrise safari, you would notice that they're not in the same spot where they were feeding this morning. They've dragged the carcass, I'm guessing, about 50 meters from where Steve had them into the shade of this tree, and that's for a couple of reasons. Of course, in this sunny, hot weather, it's nice to be in the shade and to have whatever you are protecting in the form of meat for them close to you. But it also means that it would not create a easy scenario for vultures to see and start swooping down, and if a lot of vultures do swoop down into an area, it will attract more and more hyena. There were some hyena, I'm told 5 hyena, were thinking about trying to get these lions to give up their kill, but the lioness were not interested in the hyena's antics. Wonderful stuff. Now, interestingly, I was quite surprised. As we headed out this afternoon, we got here and they were busy feeding on the carcass. They seem to be kind of just relaxing for now. We are planning on deploying Ronald the rover into the scene a little bit later, but I want to wait for it to cool down a bit, so I'm not too sure if these lions have been exposed to Ronald just yet. So we're going to go about things very slowly and gently. And there's Ron, just chilling in the sun with his fancy hairdo. And yeah, those are the plans. So Ronald's not too far away from them, but I just want to very, very slowly ease him closer towards them. Wonderful stuff. Well, my name is Scott, and I am teamed up with Seb on camera this afternoon, and we are looking forward to not only playing with Ronald the rover, but also the Matrice, this very fancy device which is a drone. Here's all the propellers all folded up neatly, and it's been out of action for quite some time, but thankfully Sebastian has managed to get things back up and running and fixed all the problems with it. So we're hoping to launch this guy up into the sky a little bit later to give you some great bird's eye views, as well as have Ronald the rover. So we've got lots of toys on board this afternoon and looking forward to having some fun with all of them. Alrighty. Well, we're going to stay put here and slowly move Ronald closer onto the scene and make sure everything's working properly with him, and send you across to Steve, who's just cruising.
Thank you, Scotty. We are just cruising. It is a wonderful afternoon, and you seem to feel that if we keep moving, the wind across our face cools us down quite nicely. We are checking the dams and the pans, because there's always activity around them. Well, hopefully. It's always nice to find elephants coming down to drink. There could always be a sneaky leopard hiding somewhere in the shade, and that would be marvelous. But if we don't find too much in the next 45 minutes or so, we are planning, if you would like, folks, please give us your comments, to go back and find that little bundle of joy. Would you like that? I know I would always like to. But I feel the need also to move around and just do some different things and talk about some more ecology, find some interesting stuff. The reason I'm not finding any leadwoods where I am is we're a little bit high on the slope, but as soon as we come down towards Treehouse Dam, it's possible we will find them, because they indicate water, as I said, and then we can show you. I wonder if anybody can remember what to look at with the young leadwoods that tell you why it's a leadwood. What do you look at on the leaf to tell you it's a young leadwood? See if you can give me that comment. And while we are doing that, please, we're going to go over to Ralph, who has something on the move.
Thank you, everybody. This is still a situation unfolding. It seems the females have left those cubs now on the other side of that little drainage line, but there were two of the very small little cubs that seemed to not want to leave mommy, but I think she might now have convinced them to stay just next to a little termite mound, and these two females do look like they want to hunt, but obviously we do need to just be a little bit careful as we try to follow up behind them, that we don't scare these cubs next to that little termite mound. So we will try and take the utmost of care not to do so. They're normally very good once they're left by the adults, that they literally go and hide, and that's them. Obviously you don't want to scare them away from that position, so you always just need to be careful. You just need to make sure that she's not moving with them. If she is, well, then we also just hang back a little bit, but they're looking out over the plains. There's some waterbuck there that they might take some interest in, but if a warthog jumps out now, I think he's toast. So there's every chance that we might witness a little bit of a hunt here, but it depends on what they come across. They are very much looking like they're going to hunt. I'm just going to move forward here. I don't know if those cubs followed up. I'm going to ask one of the guide here that he was a little bit closer than me. So I'm just going to ask him now when we stop, because I don't want to go up behind them, especially if these cubs are with them. Hi guys. They left a lot of the cubs just behind there. Did she continue with those two very small ones? Three. Okay, because the other ones they've left, I think she wanted them to stay, but they just kept going with her. I think they want to hunt, but they don't.
I think they are thinking about dinner. They are not thinking about nursing.
Yeah, and the little cubs are like they don't want to leave mommy.
Both of them have two cubs at the same time. Like the water buffaloes.
And the other cubs are just back there on the other side of that little wash. So I think there were 8 in total. Yeah. No, there was some little bit bigger and then very small. So maybe 1 or 2 months older. I'll make space for you, eh? There we go, everyone. It seems that those two little youngsters, they don't want to leave mommy, so I don't know if this is going to be a very successful hunt, because the two little youngsters, 3 I think, that's what the other guide said, he saw 3 of them, they're not willing to leave mom. Maybe they've spent a little bit of time away from her and they're not willing to just stay while the 2 females go off and hunt. So they might ruin this, but they'll learn the lesson from mom. She maybe hang back now and maybe let the other female go for it, but I'm just going to move a little bit forward here and then move off the road so that everybody can actually see too. Just coming through here, and we don't want to go up too close behind them because then we'll disturb them, but we've got a view from them here, so we'll just watch them. You can see that the one female is going down a little bit lower than usual, so she's just staying beneath the line of the grass, just staying out of view, and she's got the little cubs with her as well. Shame. So not exactly ideal for hunting, but it does look like she wants to. The hunt getting spoiled by the presence of those little babies. And they're looking out over at some waterbuck, but I'm hoping that there's maybe a warthog in between, because that would very easily become dinner. Waterbuck would be a little bit more difficult. Toro, you want to know how do the cubs know when to hide and wait? It's specific little contact calls and body language that the mother will show to them, and then they know that's their cue to stay put. And it's very subtle communication that they actually portray to the youngsters. It's quite difficult for us to see that. So very subtle vocalization, and the way that she leaves them while she does that is the signal for them to stay there. But these three have obviously been a little bit naughty and have continued on following, where the other ones have been all the good little uns and they've stayed where they were told to. And so it seems like we're having a wonderful cat day from this morning to this afternoon as well, and lovely with lions. Let's head you on down south to Scott with his Nkuhumas.
Hello everyone. We certainly are having a wonderful day full of cats, and what's really interesting is that these two lionesses, or at least this one and her partner in crime, have just had a scrap. And it's really interesting that they kind of really went at one another as the one lioness, the one that's on the left, approached the one that's on the right, closer to the kill. There's so much food for all of them, and maybe it's just the hot weather, who knows. But they just had an almighty growling wrestling match. Lots of dust was flying through the air, and all seems to have calmed down for now. It does look like the lioness that attacked the one that approached it is slightly bigger and older. And having lions fighting like this is kind of fairly commonplace, mainly over food, but sometimes they will also fight over territory. And on Tam, you would like to know, how big will a lion's territory stretch? Well, it varies hugely depending on the area that the lions are in, and also the size of the pride that the lions are in. So usually how it gets worked out in lion society is it's split up between the males and the females. Males compete with males for territories, which are usually very large and encompass several female prides, and females will compete with other females and their prides for territories, and the females usually have smaller prides. In this part of the Kruger National Park, your kind of average pride that we're seeing probably ranges over 10 to 15 square miles, maybe up to 20 square miles. So it all does depend, and there's no set rules. You get some areas where it's very dry, and like the deserts of Namibia, where you get desert lions, and they will have huge territories in order to be able to find enough food, and also simply because they don't have too much competition. Now, we have managed to deploy Ronald the Rover quite close into the undergrowth that these lions are snoozing in. We almost parked up against the one hoof of the zebra. So why don't you guys take a look and see what it looks like to be right up close and personal. How cool is that? And we're not too sure why this temperature reading is showing. It's something that we need to try and troubleshoot, so apologies for that. But in the meantime, I think it's still a wonderful view and opportunity to be able to get up close and personal with them. And we've also worked out yesterday, when Tingana was chewing on a daikakel, we didn't realize exactly how the audio systems work with Ronald, but that seems to have been troubleshooted, so we should be able to get some audio of these lions crunching down on the zebra a little bit later, which will be absolutely awesome. But for now, it seems like they're just relaxing. Like I said a little bit earlier, they were feeding initially, which was quite a surprise. Well, let's see what happens here as this other lioness moves. If she comes closer to the one in the center of your screen, you may see another little skirmish between them. But I don't think that other lioness is going to do just that. Did I see some movement in the back there? There's also a cub that's on the scene here somewhere. I'm not too sure exactly where it is. I think it could be hidden in some of the undergrowth. There's quite a lot of thick vegetation here where it could just be tucked away having a snooze. So it all seems calm and peaceful for now, but things are definitely going to heat up here a little bit later what I can't wait for is the hyena to come onto the scene. I'm fairly confident that a little bit later on this evening there are going to be some hyena lurking about, hoping to steal an easy meal from these lions. Okay, well here you can see this other lioness. She's on the move now. I wonder where she's going. She might try and find some shade next to that vehicle she's just walked in front of. Oh, here's the cub that's also popped out. It's not looking in the best shape, but at least it's got a nice big meal to feed on, and that's going to definitely help its cause. And I'm guessing the fact that it's following this other lioness would probably mean that that is its mother. Okay, very good. Well, we're going to stay put here and send you all the way back up to the Masai Mara with Brent, who hasn't had much luck with the big cats just yet.
That is true, Scotty. We have not had too much luck with the big cats just yet. Now, this grass is so long in this area that we've done a sort of meander where the lions were this morning. And they're probably just flat in the grass somewhere. Jamie said they came down from this area, and we're just trying to change our luck a little bit here. Wait, is that a lion in the grass? No, it's not. It's a stump in the grass. Now it is getting cooler, so they might start moving now. But they're somewhere in this area. Well, that's the way it goes on safari. Some days you have all the luck, some days not so much. So while we keep searching, let's go back to Rolf, who's got the Mara River Pride.
Thanks, Brent. We're still following up here behind these two females and their very naughty three little cubs. But I still think there's every chance that they might do some hunting, especially if a warthog pops out. I think that would be a very easy dinner for them. But the only problem is with these little cubs following, it does make things a little bit difficult for them. I think they have really been three naughty little children that haven't listened to mommy. And there you see they're following up just behind mom. She's probably saying, I told you to stay at home. Not really going to be doing any proper hunting with those little cubs following them. Francis, you want to know, will females kill other pride's cubs, or will it only be males that do it? Yeah, it's generally only the males that will do it. The females don't really bother themselves much with other females' cubs. Let's just watch lovely as we see the cubs following mom through the grass. Look at that. She's still looking out into the marsh, but the water bug did clock her, and the little cubs and the other female are coming up behind her. There we go. There's a little head poking out through the grass. See, the grass is way too long for them, so they can hide in there very easily. But they are still ruining this if it is a planned hunt. And that's beautiful with the Olololo escarpment in the background there. It's actually now looking straight up towards our camp. You can hear some crocs call, not crocs, frogs. Frogs calling here. There's quite a big lugger, quite a bit of water in it. I don't know how they're going to cross that. I don't think those cubs will be able to. So this might be a little bit of a negotiation here, how to get through this, unless they just go along it. Because if they're thinking about going through it, it's going to be quite interesting to see how these cubs follow. They're obviously working out that it is quite difficult for them to go through there, and probably one of the reasons why they wanted them to stay with the others. So really ruining things for them now, as I can see the frustration in the tail. And that little whip of a tail like that is a little bit of an irritated lion, and possibly because of the cubs. That's one of the signs that we would look for when we're out on foot. If you've got a And you can watch your local domestic cat. When they're quite irritated, they sway their tail from side to side. But when a tail goes up and down, that's when he's just about to pounce. And we will actually look at those kind of behavioral signs towards us if we were out on foot. All that kind of body language and posturing that we need to really be awake to. It really helps us understand what kind of frame of mind the lion is in. But let's go just a little bit forward and see if we can get a better picture on these lions, because this is really interesting with these cubs. So, as we try and reposition and see if we can get a better view on these two females and their cubs, let's head you on down back to South Africa, and Scott, who I think...
Yes, well, you're actually with Ronald now, I believe, not with me, and isn't he in the most spectacular position? I haven't positioned Seb in the best spot. We've kind of been focusing our efforts on getting Ronald into a good spot, because, to be honest, in a scenario like this, he is just going to, in most scenarios, be able to do a better job than we will be able to do from further away and quite elevated, shooting down on the subjects. And what you're looking at there is the neck and a portion of the head of the zebra that this lioness has got her paw proudly resting on, like it's her prize. I guess it is her prize. And I'm impressed that these two lionesses managed to catch a zebra in these very open clearings that we're in. There's one or two thickets like the one that they're in here, but it certainly was a job well done for them. Who knows when they would have had their last meal. We haven't seen it. I mean, I haven't seen a lioness on Djuma for the whole month of December. Not to say they didn't come through Djuma, but we had some fairly scarce lion sightings, and I'm pretty confident it's been much of the same the last 2 weeks as well. So this is wonderful that these lions are back on our property. Let's hope they spend some time here. Having said that, though, on the flip side, having no lions around definitely makes Thandi's life a lot easier. There you can see the one lioness which we were filming earlier, and a little portion of the zebra's head, and the other lioness is lying out just a little bit more in the open. Schoolman, you would like to know if lions will ever eat birds' eggs. Well, I think yes, they will. Jamie was lucky enough to have a sighting up in the Mara not so long ago with a lioness walking with an ostrich egg in its mouth. And we're not too sure what happened, whether the lioness managed to crack into the egg and eat it, or if she just lost interest and dropped it. But I'm fairly confident that lions will crack into eggs when they come across them. It's just something that I haven't seen, and it's something that probably doesn't happen too often. But it definitely is something that will happen from time to time. A lot of the predators are highly opportunistic, and they'll take whatever the best opportunity is when they are a little bit desperate. Wonderful stuff. Well, we're going to stay with these sleepy lions and send you across to Steve, who's got some of their possible food.
Indeed, thank you, Scotty, and thank you, Ronald, as always. And we have found ourselves a kudu. And there's more than one. As we saw the one, VM said, wait, we'll see more. And then we saw about 8 or 9. And here we have a young male kudu. You can just see the horns on the head. And who can guess what bush it's got its head in? There are, in fact, 2 bushes there. And as he pans up, you can start seeing the branches. There we go. That is indeed a leadwood. So as the book said, kudu like to feed on young leaves of leadwoods. This is in fact a young kudu feeding on a broken or stunted leadwood. And we are in a small drainage line again, and there's a number of leadwoods here, a number of quarries, all indicators of water. Look at that selection of the leaves, very busy mouthparts, beautiful camouflage of these antelope. And indeed, as Scott says, lion food. Hopefully these guys don't go across the lines. I think they are busy at the moment. What a wonderfully relaxed group of kudu that we have here. There's a couple more just over there. There we go. Looks like a female. With their beautiful long necks, they can feed right down to the ground, and then they can reach quite high up into the branches. Obviously not as high as a giraffe can, but higher than impala. So there's almost that competition separation between the feeding heights. Kudus are not grazers though. They're not mixed feeders, although there will be a small portion in their diet. Mohammed asks, are there other types of species? And yes, we get the greater kudu, and then I'm trying to think what the kudu is you find up in Masamara, Vildi. Do you know what it's called? I forget, but I believe it is a second species of kudu. I think you get the greater and the lesser, if I'm not mistaken. And there's only two species. There we go, you can see the horns. It's just a youngster, probably about a year. A lot bigger than the impala when they're a year. And there he is feeding on, is it a leadwood? There are two bushes there. Eloise, indeed, this is probably my favorite antelope. They are such elegant, and it is indeed a joy to see them. And I don't know if you can get right up on his face there, V, but there are a whole lot of ticks. Look at all those ticks. Shame. He stuck his face into a nest, and the ticks are chowing his face, eating his face, apologies. And he is nibbling quite briskly, very busy with those lips. They don't have, as I've said before, they don't have teeth on the front of the palate, on the top. So it's just a hard palate with the lower jaw and the tongue working and just ripping off those leaves. And as a ruminant, the advantages are he just feeds and feeds and feeds and ingests a huge amount of leaves before going and sitting somewhere in a shady spot and ruminating, regurgitating and chewing the cud. So it minimizes the amount of time needed to walk around and expose yourself to, obviously, to predators. And being active this time of day when it's really hot, if you've seen the Nkuhumas, they are probably lying quite flat. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be feeding. And a marvelous little young kudu that. And folks, we're going to continue on. I do have some more stories about the leadwoods we'll talk about on the next time you come to me, but while we do so, we're going to go back up to the Mara with Ralph, who I believe has a baby elephant.
Yes, and this is a very tiny little baby elephant, and it looks like it's taking one of its little baby snoozes. So we've gone from baby lions over to little baby elephants, and look at this little youngster. He's tiny and catching it, getting his energy, catching a snooze. That's awesome. Now, there's something that I would like to ask from all you viewers. Which animals do you think have got the most delightful eyelashes? Because I would say the three for me are elephants, giraffe, and ostriches. But which animals do you think have got the best eyelashes? And I'd like to ask all the other guides and rangers that are out at the moment, which animals do you think have got the best eyelashes? But at the moment, this little youngster still carrying on with his little snooze as the rest of the family continue with their grazing. It's wonderful to watch elephants. You see how they grab all the grass together and then they use their foot to really break it out. So you watch him as he grabs with the trunk. There we go. If it's difficult for him to pull it out, then he'll use his, well, I think that's a female, but she'll use her foot to really then assist in pulling out all of the grass. She's got a lovely set of tusks as well, and a wonderful set of eyelashes. If we can, as she turns her head there, look at those eyelashes. They're beautiful. And it's always mostly a protection for the eyes, so it stops any foreign objects being able to enter into the very sensitive area of the eye. And so giraffe, also wonderful eyelashes, and the same with ostrich. Ostrich are obviously very important because their eyes are actually bigger than their brain, and I think one of the only animals that have that kind of phenomena. But with that, such big eyes, they need to have wonderful eyelashes to be able to protect them. So once again, watching elephants grazing through, and that little baby still carrying on. So it seems lots of you agree with me that giraffe are the winners of the eyelashes, but let's see what everybody else says. Ooh, and Adam, you saying camels. That's a good angle. I didn't even think of camels. So keep those answers coming in, folks. Who do you think has got the best eyelashes out of all the animals? And we've got camel, giraffe, elephant, and ostrich now. Let's see what else we can come up with, because those four definitely got beautiful. Ooh, Madison, you've come up with ground hornbills. That's an interesting one. Now I'm going to have a closer look next time I see a ground hornbill. I've never really looked at their eyelashes. If indeed they do have any eyelashes, I need to think about that one. And so, everyone, I'm going to start to make my way up towards the Olololo escarpment, and I do still want your answers in. Who do you think's got the best eyelashes in the bush? But speaking of wonderful eyelashes and wonderful people, let's head you over to Herbie.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Herbert Koza. With me is James Henry behind the camera. We are to the north of Galago Pen, very close to the camp. We are on one of the game paths that animals use on a daily basis, from the drinking spot to the feeding grounds, and we will be reading the newspaper to see what animals visited this path, and not just prey species. Everyone, it can be prey species, it can be predators. So the evidence will be read on the ground through their tracks. So let's go and see what we can find at the pen. So while going, I can hear oxpeckers that are making noise very close to where the pen is. So in this case, we'll go investigate, checking carefully, because we all know that with oxpeckers, as soon as you... Oh, there's long distance visual of the elephant. Elephant. We have got a long distance visual of the elephant bull that came to drink at the pen, but unfortunately he disappeared into the thick bush. It seems to me that, I'm not sure if he was approaching the pen or was moving away from the pen, but I saw him moving away from the pen. The oxpeckers are gone. We are at Galago Pen now. There's lots of tracks on the ground. I can see impala tracks here. They look very fresh. They were heading in the direction of the pen itself, but others are going up. The sharp point is the direction of movement. As you can see here, the sharp point is the direction of the movement. So these ones were going up, and this one here is moving towards the pen. And very close to my friend James Henry here, I've got wildebeest tracks. This is the front tracks of the wildebeest heading towards the pen. The open side of the of the hoof is the pointing of movement. This one was heading towards the pen. We'll go and see what of the elephant bull is doing. So still, I can still see him, but disappearing into the thick bush, heading towards one of the drainage lines. Unfortunately, we lost his visual. We'll try and see if we can relocate him. While we're still trying to relocate him, why don't we see what Scott is holding for us?
My audio just turned off for a second. There's Seb controlling the drone, and he's busy concentrating, and now we're up on the drone, and how cool is that? So you can actually clearly see the drag mark where the lions dragged the zebra across the road onto that bush where they are all now just relaxing. I think some of them have moved off into some other bushes. We can't actually see any of them now, but what a cool view this is. And all the toys are out this afternoon. You can, like I said, clearly see that drag mark that was leading the zebra under that bush. And it's just so wonderful to be able to give you guys a bird's eye view of what is going on here and what the terrain looks like. You can see this large open clearing that we're looking at now is very open and sparse, and that's why I'm very impressed that these lionesses did manage to catch the zebra here with just the two of them. A good feat. There's our car, and I think Seb's doing a great job controlling the drone. Hello everyone, I'm giving you a big wave. I'm not sure if you can see me, but you might be able to work us out. What fun. And we're definitely going to have a lot of fun with this machine now that it's back up and running. And the center of your screen is the dark bush where the lions were relaxing a little bit earlier. And like most things, just like the vehicles, the lions will get used to the drone over time, and that will allow us to give you guys some incredible views as they do their business hunting on the move. So it's something that we are very, very excited to be playing with. Good stuff. I'm sure you're all enjoying having Herb out on the bushwalk. Exciting stuff with him leading some of the walks now, and there's a lot for him to now take into consideration that he didn't have to take into consideration before. And I guess that's like all of the new presenters, there's a lot of stuff going on that's difficult to their regular kind of guiding. Okay, are there any lions that we can see in there? Doesn't look like it. I may switch over to the rover feed just for a second just to see if there are any lions under that bush. Let's see if this works. I'm not sure if I change to the rover, if that changes your picture. I'm guessing it probably will. No sign of any lions in there. Let me swivel Ron around a bit. Anyone in here? Anyone home? No, just the old zebra waiting to be eaten. So not much to see there. We'll go back to the drone now. Whip. And now Seb's climbed quite high, giving you a great vista over this incredible wilderness in the Sabi sands. Beautiful. As you can see, fairly clear skies. I don't think we're going to have any risk of rain this afternoon. And now Seb's taking you off towards the Djuma waterhole, where some of you actually saw the same lioness that we've been viewing this afternoon drinking on the Djuma dam cam. We've got a dam cam set up at these two waterholes that you can see below you. And there were a few hyena wallowing around there in the middle of the dam. Not too sure where they've ended up. They may have come a little bit closer to where these lions are with the kill. They definitely all know about it. Rebecca, you'd like to know how the heat kind of impacts the drone and flying, and Seb says it's fine. What's that in the... yeah, it looks like some impala down below or close to the water's edge there. So I'm fairly certain it's some impala. Let's maybe see if we can have a closer look. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, just around right on the water's edge, on the kind of right-hand side, the eastern side of the waterhole. A little bit more to the other side.
Which side?
The opposite. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Well done. There's some impala. And some inyalas. Yeah, well done, Seb. It looks like some inyalas. Some inyala bulls, 2 Egyptian geese. Fascinating stuff. And I think, Rebecca, with regards to conditions that make it tricky for the drone, it's mainly the wind. Seb says the heat doesn't really have any impacts on it, but the wind is one of the trickier kind of elements to have to negotiate. And this afternoon, I mean, there's a bit of a breeze, nothing too serious, but the drone is definitely well stabilized and giving you some very stable views. Great stuff. Well, we're going to be sending you from a bird's eye view of the Sabi sands all the way down to the earth with Brent, who's found some ants.
Well, not exactly ants, the leavings of ants. Now, you've probably heard all of us complain about safari ants at a point. We've been attacked in camp, and now this is safari ants after they've moved. Now, they build these little walls as they move because they're constantly on the move, and they move home with them. So they build these little walls as just a little bit of protection for when they're moving their eggs and the young ones. So they're constantly on the move, and they move through different areas, eating everything in their path. Cockroaches, small rodents, human beings that are tied to beds. It was actually used as a form of torture amongst quite a few different African tribes in the past, where they would tie someone in the path of the safari ants, and they would just very slowly devour them. It would take days, but it is possible for them to devour a human being. Okay, let's move on, and you can see that the sun is dipping low. It's got a little bit chilly. Batman and I had absolutely zero luck with the cats today, but I'm going to do one last little move along the edge of that ridge up there, and that's near where Jamie saw the leopard. So maybe as the sun is setting, the leopard might pop out of the forest. But it is a beautiful evening here in the Mara. Still a bit chilly. Definitely, I'd say one of the things I do miss about Djuma is the warmth, because it's never really hot here in the Mara. When you're sitting in the sun and it's about 30 degrees, it's warm, but there's always a cool breeze around. We're at high altitude, whereas you don't get that real heat like you get in the low velds of South Africa. Beautiful evening. Now, fingers crossed that the leopard is going to be obliging and make an appearance. Now, up ahead of me, already on his way up the hill, is Ralph. So let's see how far up he's got.
So everybody, we started with a lovely view out over the Mara Triangle, and well, for us it's nearly time for us to go, so I thought we'd maybe finish off with one as well. And I'm only talking about the Kenyan side of things because the show does continue, but look over there, we've got a massive need to there's a wonderful experience with and everything else.
Well, it seems like Rolf has got too far up the hill to have a chat with you. And this big hill off to our left actually blocks the signal when we get up onto that road up there somewhere. But as I said, we're a little bit lower, so we're still good. Great, grand. And and I'm hoping to spot the spots creeping on the edge of the forest down here to the left of us. Okay, well, if I don't have any luck, you're not going to see us again, but it sounds like Herbie, instead of having the leavings of ants, has actual ants. Let's go have a look.
Welcome back. The last time you were with us, we were still trying to locate an elephant bull, but unfortunately we lost him. He disappeared into the thick bush just to the north of our position. But what we got here are harvester termites, which are busy collecting grass into their burrow. I know these are harvester termites because they don't build mounds like the fungus growing termites. So this is sort of a preparation for them in a case of winter's season where there's no grass. So when winter comes, they will still have enough food to eat. And of course, these are the only termites that will be active during the daytime because they are resistant to sunburn. It doesn't affect them at all. So these are the only ones that will be active during the daytime. So we will be moving and looking for more stuff that we can show you. While doing that, we will be heading to the north, not in a very same position where we last saw that elephant, because we don't want to be surprised. So we'll be using this road. We know there's a river very close to where we are. Maybe there's a good chance that we might find any of the predator tracks heading in the direction of the pen, because as we can see, there's lots of these prey species tracks here, leading to the pen and away from the pen. And these are wildebeest tracks moving to the pen, and the impala's tracks away from the pen. So the roads that we are driving on today have been created by all these wild animals. They've been created by all these wild animals. So in this case, I can hear one of the birds that alerts us of the presence of the predators. So in this case, they are the birds. Those are grey go-away birds. As soon as they see something, they will give you an alarm. Whether it's a predator or anything that surprises them, they will tell you that there's something close by. So in this case, we'll just make a loop and see if they see something. But you can tell the difference between an alarm call and just a call. With the alarm call, you see the movement approaching slowly in the direction of the predator or whatever they will be alarming for. And you can also tell the difference between a song and a call. So in terms of a call, they'll just keep calling while standing. But with this song, you'll see them moving, like dancing, kind of. So in this case, I think they're gone already. I saw them taking off. So we'll just while still going to check what the river system is holding for us, we're gonna send you back to Steve to see what he has for us.
And welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. We have found her. We have found the leopardess. And what has she got with her? Yes, you guessed it. We came to find the Madam Thandi with her bundle of joy. We drove around for a while. We found another few leadwood trees. I brought a branch with me so we'll be able to talk about it in the sighting if we need to. But we've got the cub and it's active and it's playing. And Thandi is quite hot. I hope you all don't mind that we came back to see her. But we felt it was about time. It's starting to cool down. It's getting to that time of day when these cats start getting a little bit more active. So there's no point, in my opinion, rushing out of camp and coming to see her, because she probably would have been flat on her back, and the cub would have been probably hiding in the bushes there. But as it is at the moment, there we go, just up a bit, V. The cub is in the branch, busy playing. There we go. She's getting very, very inquisitive, and she's learning lots of climbing skills. Very important for a leopard to learn how to climb early on. Look at that face. She is full of beans at the moment. I think we've timed this just perfectly. Lots and oohs and ahs, ladies and gentlemen. I know. This is wonderful. I love coming to see her. And Scott had such amazing sightings of this youngster this morning, and I was hoping to come and do something quite similar, and here we are. She's in the same place as before, so it's quite nice to be able to know exactly where to go. But Scott did lose her this morning. She went off hunting, and there we go. She's flat again. I'm not sure if she managed to catch anything. We did see a vulture in the tree on the way in here, but it was a whiteback vulture, and it's not the most reliable of individuals when it comes to finding meat. Bateleur eagles, tawny eagles, and hooded vultures are very, very accurate when it comes to finding meat. But this cub is just too gorgeous. We're definitely having a wonderful day today when it comes to cats, and I believe Scott is having some fun there with the Nkuhumas, with the rover, and even the drone. We could see the drone in the distance on our way in. Look at her, she's looking at Mum. You see that intention in the eyes? It wouldn't surprise me if she starts to sort of stalk down that branch. Okay, no, she's not. It's playtime. Everything that moves is something she wants to bite and something she wants to catch. This is wonderful. And it's so nice to have her so relaxed. I know even just 2 weeks ago when I got her, she was nowhere near as relaxed as she is now. But through ethical guiding and through giving them space, they're not pushing into the sighting, not chasing them, not causing them any harm. Even Thandi, who just last week, who was a little bit iffy when it came to me coming into the sighting, hasn't shown any disfavor in the last couple of days at all. So her cub is getting used to the vehicle. As soon as the cub sort of runs away, it affects Mum. Mum doesn't want the cub to run away and feel all sort of, what's the word, shy. That's the first time I've noticed that. You see her left canine is quite well wore down. She is a 12-year-old leopard. Hello, Mike. She's right down in the drainage, eh? I've seen some vehicle tracks in there. I'm not sure. If you come forward here, might get her just welcoming another vehicle into the sighting. It's not the easiest place to see because she's in quite a low-lying area from where we are now. So to get into the vehicle to see it is quite difficult. But we're in a perfect position. I wonder if we can go down here, V. What do you reckon? Okay, well, we might try and reposition. We do have a really good spot here. So we might think hard about that. The cub is still busy playing. I believe everyone is discussing if she has a name, and not yet. I believe it's still too young for a name, but I think there is some email discussion going around that I'm not too sure on, so don't ask me too many questions about that. But generally what happens is if a den site is found on Djuma, then the Djuma guides put forward the names, And this cat was definitely found on Djuma, so it would probably be some form of local name. What it would be, I am not sure, but she is just the cutest little thing. I don't think I can ever get enough of this. She's getting so much more brave and so much more... She's coming. Watch her. She's going to attack Mum. Watch this. This is it. There we go for the pounce. Oh, give me a cuddle. Isn't that just to die for, folks? And this is live. These are wild, wild leopards. To see this in the wild is very, very special. Before coming to the Sabi Sands, before coming to Djuma, I had never ever seen anything like this live. Isn't that incredible? So this is the place. Sabi Sands is the place if you want to see leopards. Thandi's got her head up there. There's a rattling testicular that's alarming quite heavily in the direction she's looking. I don't know if she's heard something. Deadhead asks, could it possibly be her last cub because of her age? And it's very possible. I mean, 15 is probably about the maximum age of a leopard in the wild, and the older they get, the lower their litters, or the smaller their litters become. I believe she had 2, or I'm not sure actually, but it's very difficult to say. I mean, it's going to take another 1.5 to 2 years for her to be reproductive again, and by that stage she's going to be 14, approaching 15. There's a question from Kirsten, is she on a kill? Not that we know of, Kirst. Say again? There's a warthog apparently. Oh my word, look at that. The cub is eating a warthog. I did not even see that. I was too focused on the age. And is indeed a warthog, which Thandi has once again brought to the den site, which to me is just absolutely bizarre. Looks like a young little warthog, and there is a little family that hangs around this area that knows that I think watches Safari Live, because they are very skittish of the vehicle. And unfortunately this one was probably too busy watching this morning's show, and it got caught out. Okay, so just one of the vehicles started there, and it caused the cub to rush off into the bushes. It's fine, she will relax again, because no negative behavior will come from it. You see that? She heard the vehicle, she moved away, but there's no negative response. Okay, that's how you habituate an animal. You start a vehicle. If, for example, if you started the vehicle and something hit her or took her food away, she would learn that response or that impulse is a negative one, and she'll avoid it. But because she heard the vehicle, she moved away. Nothing came from it, so no negative reinforcement, even though she's quite interested in getting very low and hiding. Typical leopard behavior. And see how she keeps looking at Mum. Mum's okay with it, so that must be fine. That's why it's so much easier to habituate a cub that has a habituated mother than to just habituate an adult leopard. Trying to habituate an animal of Thandi's size, if it was completely wild, completely unrelaxed, would be very difficult to do. Because you've got to follow her. You've got to follow her, and that reinforcement needs to be carried on. The negative reinforcement that follows, or the positive reinforcement that follows. Quite easy when they're cubs, because they just look at Mum and they realize, okay, this is okay, I'm fine. That warthog didn't look very eaten, did it, V? Didn't look eaten at all, in fact. I don't even see any blood. There's flies on it. But that's fantastic stuff. Oh, hello, Mum. First Lady asks, do I think she's teething? She's definitely got her milk teeth. I don't know if it works the same as human babies do, but she's definitely got her milk teeth, and she'll get her real teeth in about 6 months. At about the age of 6-7 months, they start to develop. But She definitely has teeth, but she wouldn't be able to break open the hide of a warthog. Definitely not. Mom would assist in that, and she would be able to eat on the flesh or the meat, just like that Nkuhuma cub is doing at the moment, but wouldn't be able to physically break open the hide. The skin is quite tough, even on what looks like quite a small little warthog there. Marvelous stuff. Isn't she just a beautiful leopard? It does look like Thandi could eat, and it's possible that she's quite hot. Possible that she has eaten some of that warthog. We can't see the belly of it. If I was Thandi, probably would have gone for the tummy or for right on the rump. She might have eaten a little bit, but definitely as soon as it cools down a bit, she'll probably move back onto that warthog and feed some more. But it's surprising she hasn't tried to hoist it in any way. Maybe it's so that the cub can explore and can play with it. Coast Rider makes the comment that the question that won't the food attract other predators? Most certainly. It is in the drainage line. It's quite concealed, so vultures are not going to see it. But the smells will start picking up, and hyena will start picking that up in the evening. But right at the moment, I don't think she has too much to worry about. The only thing she'd have to worry about is if, when she killed it, it made a sound or a squeal. That often attracts other predators. But I think it's still in its infancy stage with regards to smell, and probably by late this evening, tomorrow morning, the smell would have picked up and spread in the air, and that's when the hyenas, with their incredible sense of smell, will follow it towards wherever she has it hidden. So it wouldn't be advisable for her to leave it on the floor for too much longer, but I think at the moment she's okay. But I still find it very bizarre that she's bringing kills to the den site. Unless she was sitting right here when it came and she just killed it, which is possibly what's happened the last few times. But being such a small animal like that, it's very easy for her to have carried it here. Here goes the little exploration. Look at those paws. So folks, we're going to stay here with these beautiful cats. We might try and reposition. While we do so, we're going to go over to my man Herbie, who I believe has some interesting grasses for you.
Welcome back. We have changed position now. We are now to the east of the camp, Vovo Road, with this amazing grass, the favorite grass for...
Sorry everybody.
The favorite grass for cats, for any of the predators. They use this grass to mask the scent when they go out hunt. What they'll do, very stinging grass. It smells nice. And when they're about to go hunt, they will come and roll on the sand to mask the scent, so that when they come across this prey species, they won't pick up their scent. So it's a very useful grass for the cats. And when they're not using these, they go for any of the antelope dung. Prey species.
Welcome back. Sadly, you lost signal with Herb as he was explaining some interesting grasses with you. Now, we're going to try something a little bit different, and we've left the lions temporarily and just come out to take you on a joyride with the drone. So we've got the drone ready to be deployed. There it is over there. And there you can see Seb's handiwork. And it's just starting up now. And soon it will take off into the sky. Off it goes. Woohoo! And now you've got the drone feed, and now I am going to start driving around, and we're going to get the drone to follow us as we go. Woohoo!
And it's all good practice for us just to familiarize ourselves with what the drone is capable of, and especially for Seb to start getting some practice. He is going to be the drone pilot for the next few weeks leading up to our next set of TV shows in the beginning of February? What month are we in? Yeah, it is February. It's the beginning of February that we'll be doing some TV shows. And like I said, Seb is going to be the pilot. Oh, sorry. Now what doesn't make Seb's life easy is as we drive along these bumpy roads, that shakes him off. And the sun also makes things a little bit tricky. But now we are on track. And Steve says he can see the drone above him, so maybe if Seb just looks below him, you might get a quick view of Seb's vehicle. And we'll move it away from there because Steve is enjoying that sighting with some other guests, so we'll avoid them and just continue on with our mission. What fun! It's an incredible beast, this drone, and what a cool way to show you guys what it looks like from above as we drive through this quite thick vegetation. You'll notice there's lots of small trees dotted through this area of the reserve, and it gives you a good idea of how big the blocks are also between all the roads. You see how big the blocks are. Kaylin, you've mentioned that now we are the new Ronald the Rover. And exactly how things are changing this afternoon. Okay, wonderful stuff. Well, let's try one last quick shot of us driving towards the drone, and then we are going to send you back towards that interesting sighting with Steve and the first confirmed sighting of that little cub eating meat. And it's getting off to a good start with some bacon. I'm fairly certain it would have been possibly snacking on the carcasses that Thandi was taking back to the kill earlier on. Very good. We're going to send you back. We don't want you to miss out on any action across there with the cub, so off you go.
And it does indeed look like pork is on the menu. And Thandi is busy eating the leg there. And as the cub started coming closer, she actually turned her head on it and was growling at the cub. Typical sort of behavior of a solitary animal. Not used to sharing its meat, so she's going to have to learn to share meat with the cub, who doesn't really need it at the moment. She's getting all the milk she needs from Mum. But she's still very interested in what Mum's doing. And she's going to go investigate. But I think the look Mum gave her before indicated, this is mine, not yours. I'm hungry. But she's going to come. Let's see what she does. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Steve Falconbridge and I'm joined by VM on the camera, and we have for you a leopard, female leopard with her cub feeding on a warthog. We are in Djuma, Private Game Reserve, South Africa, and this is marvelous. Please feel free to ask any questions below. This is incredible stuff. We have a female leopard with a 3-month-old cub, and she has got a baby warthog kill. The cub is just to the bottom of your screen. You can just see the ears. And Mum is busy feeding. And she wasn't showing too much interest in letting the cub come and feed. A cub of that age is essentially completely reliant on milk. And so she doesn't need the warthog. But there she is. Beautiful leopardess. Known as Thandi around here. She's about 12 years old. And she's absolutely gorgeous. There is the face of the warthog. It has been dead for some time, we think. Laura, welcome. Hi, you've never seen a wild leopard. Have you ever seen one of those? That is a baby. Look at him. I mean her. It is a little girl. That was a fantastic look she gave you there, Laura. She was saying, well, now I see you. Mandy, this is extremely cool. It is about as cool as it gets in the African bush. This leopard cub, as I said, is only about 3 months old, and we are seeing her on a regular basis now, and she is full of beans. She's running around, she is climbing, she is biting everything she can see, and Mum has been keeping her here in a little termite mound, which is kind of just about where she is now. This tree is growing out of that termite mound. And there we go, eating the leaf, getting very exploratory. Look at that face, isn't that a picture? Now, please understand, folks, these are completely wild leopards. They are not tame. Just through 60 years of habituation, they've become quite relaxed to the vehicle. Ranch. Indeed, this is a big, big wow, and absolutely beautiful. I was telling viewers before that this is the first time in my life that I've seen leopard cub of this age in the wild, and I saw her for the first time last week, and it is just marvelous to be able to spend time with these little cats and to watch them behaving like this. Normally a leopard is very shy, turns and runs and hides away, but because of very long ongoing habituation work, we can watch these animals in their normal behavior. And Jean, just like every other house kitten, indeed just a lot bigger and a lot more, a lot more powerful. Oh, I don't know what the average house kitten would weigh, but probably about the same as this little cub would weigh. It's probably about 3 kilograms now, so that's probably about 6 to 8 pounds, maybe less than that. Whereas the adult that's feeding there is about 45 kilograms, which is about double that in pounds, probably about 90 pounds. So a lot bigger and heavier than your average house cat. H. Macy, that is a very good question. If hyenas come, will the cub be able to get up the tree? And we saw this morning, one of my friends was here, and actually watched the mother going up the tree and encouraging the cub to follow. V, just pan left. She's moving the warthog now. You can see that it's a little baby warthog, very easily carried. Very similar how she would carry her cub. And maybe she just heard what she said, and she's going to move the kill away from her cub. It is not the most wisest choice to have your meat, which ends up giving off a smell, to attract hyenas. But yes, the cub is learning to climb, and she's coming right behind us. Unfortunately, we have the aerial behind us, but she is possibly going to go up a tree now. I'm not sure. Great, I'm glad you can still get her there, V. And we do have a big antenna on the back of the vehicle, so I apologize for that. We're going to go the other way. Yes, she's going to go up the tree, folks, I'm guessing, by her intention. She doesn't want to lose this. She heard H. Macy mention the word hyena, and there she goes. Look at that. Look at that. Fantastic. Now, this is the element that the leopards absolutely dominate in. Pound for pound, the strongest cat. Their ability to hoist their prey up the tree is what gives them the edge over the other predators. It means that they can kill animals and they can stash it up the tree. Obviously, lions can go up trees, but not as agile. They're twice as big, twice as heavy as your average leopard, sometimes more so. So leopards can go to the top branches of these trees and then feed at their leisure. This is a very important strategy for avoiding. And you saw how effortlessly she did that. Leopards are able to hoist prey almost equal in their weight. And we're going to stay on her, but as she moved away, I just kept my eye on the cub. And because Mum has moved away, the cub has run straight into her little burrow in the termite mound. Yes, Susie, I could watch these all day myself. Next time I'm going to bring lunch and just spend the entire day here. Only problem is it gets a little bit hot. But yes, these are unbelievable animals to watch. But the problem is during the middle of the day, the cub go up there to feed? I don't think so. She's just behind that bush there. The cub will be able to climb. I don't think the tree she's gone up she'll be able to climb. I think that's a bit much for her to go up. But most certainly in a few months, 3-4 months, she'll definitely be joining Mum up there to feed. But at the moment, that cub is completely dependent on Mum's milk. So she's not needing the meat that Thandi has up there in the tree. The bacon. She's making bacon. This is marvelous stuff. Where did she go? Maybe she's coming around to sneak up on us, but I think Thandi's trying to find a spot to position the warthog, or looks like she might be feeding on it. But to come back to the question about if hyenas came, the den site here is a termite mound, which is a hole in the ground that is quite small, that the cub can quite easily scurry into if need be, and at the first sign of danger she will do so. Okay, so there we go. Watch this, folks. Watch how she comes down. Word. She's... Can you all hear that? It's a simple little contact call of the leopard. I do not do it any justice. It's possible she would like her cub to come up, but I think the cub is too small to climb up a tree like that. And I think she's just more interested to know where it's gone off to. I can hear in the background the spurfowl alarm calling. Can you see her, V? There we go. The cub is coming to her. This is incredible. Oh, there's contact calls back to Mum. Mum is coming down the tree. This is phenomenal. Sorry about the aerial again, folks. There she is. Much fun. Look at that camouflage though, folks. Unless VM zooms right in on it, it's very hard to see. Slowly coming down, little one. There she is. Look at that. Isn't that a picture? Yes, I love her paws too. Look at the size of those feet. She's going to grow into them and hopefully become a very successful leopard like her mother. Hey girl, it's okay. It's okay, Thandi. It's okay. She's not liking me right now. Did you see she gave me a very nice look? But all I'm going to do is hold my breath a bit and not look at her in the eyes. It's very important not to look at a leopard in the eye. Very important to also keep my voice down. She's just walking right past. And if you've ever been warned before by a leopard, that was it. I must admit my heart is racing right now. It's very hard to understand that feeling unless you've experienced it. The cub is keeping her distance from us, but she's relaxed. Mum is relaxed. Mum gave me her warning. She seems to have quite a full belly. Wonder if that's from milk, or if she had a little bit of that warthog. She's just done a complete 360 around us, and the cub is now stopped. Wow, my heart is racing. So folks, for those of you who have been very much much. If you'd like to watch more of the show, please Google Safari Live, and you can continue. We have another half an hour or so, maybe 20 minutes left of the show. Catch us there. And on that note, good night. So welcome back to all the internet viewers. This is unbelievable. My heart is still racing, and while I catch my breath, we're going to go back across to Herbie, who has some more interesting plants.
Welcome back. We are with one of our most poisonous trees in the name of tamboti. How do you know that this tamboti is poisonous? If you cut a leaf, you see there's a milk latex. So the tamboti is one of the most poisonous trees in South Africa, where if you inhale the smoke, you affect your lungs, and you might end up hospitalized. So in this case, the tambotis will use the very strong tannin on them to destroy any other tree species, grass species. As you can see, there's no grass around, so the milk latex on them is their defense mechanism. They'll actually destroy each and every tree species underneath them. Very close to the tambotis, there's one of the milk latex creeper. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of this, but it uses the latex as well to defend itself against anything eating them. So it tastes bitter. Once you get a drop of these in your eye, you temporarily get blind, but you can go to a temporary blindness if depending on the amount of the milk latex getting into your eye. So in this case, stay away from the tambotis, stay away from anything in a milk latex color. Over there, that's elephant dung. I know tambotis are, it's one of the trees that elephants will target most. As you can see here, because of the strong tannins on the tambotis, it changes the color of the elephant dung into a reddish color. Upset stomach, they will use the very same tannin on these trees to adjust their digestive system, so it doesn't affect them at all. I know this is elephant track because of the color and also because of the twigs on it. Not a rhino, not a hippo. This is one of the elephant droppings. So we will carry on. While doing that, we will send you to Scott.
Well, yes, like Herb says, stay away from the tambotis. They will make you ill if you consume them or cook with them, as I'm sure he made clear to you. Now, as you can see, we have got Ronald the Rover in a prime position at the zebra carcass, and some very, very interesting behavior has happened. Earlier on, we saw this lioness have a scrap with the other slightly younger looking lioness, and I was quite surprised by that. There's so much meat, so little competition between them, yet there was that scrap. And then now this tiny, poor little bony cub that's dying for a meal also went and approached the carcass, and the same lioness attacked this cub quite ferociously, which really doesn't make sense, because there's more than enough food to go around. And yes, lions and all adult big cats will look after themselves before the cubs, and that's paramount for them to be able to survive and provide cubs for future meals. They won't be doing it out of spite. They'll only be doing it in tricky and trying times that they'll have to fend for themselves and take care of themselves ahead of cubs. But this doesn't seem to be a situation like that. So really, really interesting stuff. And I'm not too sure where the cub has gone, but shame. I mean, the poor thing is dying for a meal, and this lioness is not wanting to give up any of the carcass to it. Now, sadly, we don't have the best views now that the lioness has moved on this main cam, So let me just scoot forward a little bit for a second. Got a bit of a funky clutch at the moment, hence us flying forward uncontrollably there. I don't know if we've even managed to get into a better spot. I just switched the car off as soon as kind of medium. Okay, there we go. And it looks like she's about to start feeding, and this will be a good opportunity for us to start creeping forward with Ronald. So take a look here, and what you'll be surprised by is that this lioness isn't too concerned about Ronald. The other one was a little bit more interested by it, but this lady isn't. And I'm obviously going to just move very slowly as we get into a spot. Earlier on we got very close to her without her showing any kinds of caution. Well, I think this might do for now. You saw how she just flicked her tail there. That could have been a little bit of a sign, or it could have just been her trying to get rid of the flies. What an incredible view this is. Absolutely awesome stuff. Now, I'm not too sure if this is Amber Eyes. Are you relaxed there on your zebra pillow? Shame, it's been a long hot day, and if she wasn't being so spiteful and trying to hoard all of this meat for herself, it would probably allow her to relax elsewhere, whilst the Aya lioness could kind of take turns in guarding the kill. Donna, you can confirm that this is in... What you up to? Oh, you're going to start snacking? No. So let me try and get you guys a better view. Just going to have to move out of this spot, go a little bit this way, and then I should be able to get you some great views. Just trying to keep an eye on her while I move. Well, I don't think it's going to get any better than that for the time being. And Heidi, you've just mentioned that the light is perfect. Yes, we've got some great light here. And it looks like she is going to continue now to gorge herself on the hind quarters of this zebra. What an incredible view. This is so cool. As you can see, as she's feeding, she's moving that branch into the way of the rover's camera, but she needs to do what she send you back to
We have Thandi, and the youngster is now feeding, even though she had such a full belly before. She is feeding, so she's going to turn out to be very strong. The kill up the tree was still, and maybe as it cools down a bit more, Thandi will go back up there and do some feeding of her own. What an amazing creature. My heart is still a little bit in my mouth, but it's impossible to explain the feelings. I think she was just about a meter from me here. A little bit of a surprise. As I was looking at the monitor, VM was filming the cub, and as I looked right, she was there. Dale asked the questions, do leopards only have one baby? And no, they normally have about average 2 to 3, but as they get older, normally 2 is the average, and what normally happens is 2 or 3 answers. It might be a bit of luck, but the ability of the mum to be, or a good mum, is very, very important. So 3 is... I know there's a couple leopards in the area that are with another one here called Shadow. So there are 2 that are survived to adulthood, and they both have cubs at the moment. One has got a 1-year-old, somewhere about that age, 1-year-old cub, and this one is about 3. But both only have one. It is generally, most of the leopard cubs I've seen in my life, there's only been one, but I've never seen cubs of this age before. So there's definitely lots of stuff happens in the beginning of the competition between the 2 or 3, but what happens generally is the strongest of the cub survives, and that is the way leopards manage. That's how they are such successful individuals, is that if there is any weakness, it is weeded out at the very early age. And it also allows this one to have no competition over milk. So we're going to stay with these lovely cats, and I believe Herbie has got something on the ground.
Welcome back. We are at Vuyatela Dam. We've got some visitors here in the name of wooded vultures. We're not far from where the lionesses are. I think they went to join the lion sighting, but unfortunately we were in a very, very hot day. They decided to come and get some water here, and we've got 3 vultures here, and these vultures it's a good indication of a kill. As soon as you see them landing, you quickly respond. If you were looking for any of the cats, especially the lions, we know there's a lion. There are lions in a zebra kill. We are not far from that area, so if we were away from where the lions, we had no idea that there are lions around. Seeing the vultures landing, we should have quickly responded, and fortunately we might have ended up in a zebra kill with those lionesses and the tiny cubs. I'm jealous, I didn't get to see the cubs. And now over here we've got a rubbing post. A rubbing post, it's a tree stump where the animals will come and rub themselves after wallowing in mud. So the question is, which animals are doing the rubbing? So here is the evidence. This is the evidence. There's a fur, and also the height will is thin. Rhinos do, and so but if it was a buffalo, it should have been at this size at least. A rhino here with the early, that would be the last height. So again, for me, this is like a Facebook. This is where I'll come and read whatever information I get from the stump. How are the chances for me to find whatever? Is it worth it to find them? Is it worth it to follow them as well? If not, I'll just leave them and go look for the very fresh signs. So for them to go and drink because of our presence here. We are about 20 meters away from the vultures, but because of our presence, they might take long to go and drink. We'll create a distance because we don't want to disturb them. I can see one going down, and the one, while still through our vultures, let's go back to Scott with his lions.
Yes, we are here, and we've repositioned Ronald into a wonderful, wonderful spot. And I'm astounded by the fact that this lioness, who hasn't been exposed to the rover very much as far as I'm aware, is absolutely, completely relaxed with its presence. As you saw, as we moved it around a little bit earlier, she hardly paid any attention to it. And you're getting the best of both views, a slightly elevated one from Seb's camera now, and one from close up right there with the zebra with Ronald. The other lion lying up not too far away in the shade. Oh no, the drone's in the way of the lioness, sadly, but there's the little cub and her mom's lying off just to the right of her, but sadly the drone is in the way of that shot. And I'm just so kind of heartbroken and astounded by the fact that this cub was not allowed to feed earlier by the lioness that is currently feeding. And as you can see, it's not in the best shape, and it could do with all the nutrition it could possibly get. So interesting stuff here, and I guess a lot of dynamics out in nature are just, you know, inexplicable when we look at it as a human from the outside. But there must be some reason why. I'm not too sure what it could be, but definitely something that we need to keep track of and keep monitoring. Sadly, we don't get to follow these lions as much as we would like to, because they spend a lot of time off our area of traverse, so we don't know too much history of this cub. I don't even think that there is a chance that this cub has actually never been seen up until this morning by any of us. So with them for now, though, back to Ronald and this lady who is enjoying this zebra carcass. It'll be interesting to see if they are still here in the morning. There's still quite a lot of meat that remains, and provided it doesn't get stolen by a hyena this evening, which there is a chance of with just two lionesses, if enough hyena come onto the scene, they could overpower and overthrow these ladies from their kill. So it'll be an interesting time later on tonight, and of course first thing tomorrow when we come back to establish what's going on. We've just it's fascinating. I was kind of mildly surprised that the two lionesses had a go at one another earlier on, but when this lady went at that cub and quite ferociously, not a little tap on the head saying go away, she really kind of laid into it, which is certainly not normal behavior. What I'm also not too sure of regarding this pride is how many members are in it at the moment and where the rest of the pride could be, and why these guys would have split up. You'd have thought two good friends would have split up, not kind of two that have got differences. That clearly this lioness and her partner do have some issues that they need to work out so that they don't fight over their food when there's so much. Very good, we need to rest you across to Herb, who's got a bird before it flies away.
Welcome back. Over there we've got two birds. To our left, that's one bird that seems like dancing. It's not dancing. It has got something get rid of the skin from the dung beetle. So breaking it so that it comes loose, so it will go for the flesh, not just the hard part of the beetle or the hard covering of the beetle. So in this case, I'm not sure whether the one waiting is gonna get the share from the one to the left, but that will be, I think it's unfair because it's just sitting there watching, and I doubt if she's gonna get share. I'm not sure whether that's a male or a female, but most of the time the laziest ones will be the females, and of course the males will always sacrifice and give. We've been waiting. He keeps on doing the same, hitting against the branch. That might take long though. But I've seen it before where you find a drongo watching from a distance and suddenly coming with a very high speed, stealing the beetle or stealing whatever insect the bird will have and fly with the insect. But luckily, it's in a bit of cover there, not exposed to any of the other birds. Lucky for him. And very close to us, it's a nest of buffalo weavers. They're quite for now, I'm surprised. They are very noisy birds, black and with white stripes, with the red beak. So most of the time, when you're very close to the nest, you find them making lots and lots of noise. So in this case, they are quiet. Maybe it's sleeping time for them. But you can still hear them making noise at night. I'll try. I'll try and imitate the kingfisher's call. Not good with calls of birds, but at least I've tried. But of course, thanks for that. 10 out of 10 means a win. I didn't know that I can imitate. I've never tried before. And in the water here, you'll terrapins. While doing that, we're gonna cross to Steph with Thandi's carp.
Thanks, Herbie. I'd love to hear your version of the woodland kingfisher. It's a call I refuse to attempt. It's way too much effort. I don't think I have the tongue for it. But yes, we are back with Thandi's cub. She has finished feeding, and she is awake, which is awesome. Thandi is also quite alert. There's alarm calls, all sorts of alarm calls coming from behind us, but we haven't quite noticed what it could be. I mean, VM is just saying you never know, another leopard, another hyena could at any stage join a sighting like this. So it's important to keep your wits about you, and she definitely is very alert, Thandi, very alert to what's going on around her, and at this smallest sign of danger, appear into thick undergrowth. Wouldn't want to mess with a leopardess with a cub. It's the last thing in the world you want to bump into on foot. That and a lioness with cubs. Because as all you mothers out there know, you will die for your children. Is that not so? There's nothing more dangerous than an angry mother, especially when the babies are there. It's so nice to watch this cub just behaving and playing. She's getting so adventurous. There we go. She's got herself a bit of soil. Look, Mom. Or was that elephant dung? I'm not quite sure. She caught it. She made her first kill. Yeah, she's going to stalk Mum. Watch. Here it comes. Whoa. You see, she's very young, but that whole object of lying very low, very flat, and that immediate sort of explosion of speed is something that is key to the leopard's strategy of attack. And only a 3-month-old cub, but she's honing those skills. And Mum, it's only the beginning of her attack on Mum, and the tail has already seen a couple of attacks. And the cub is going to get bigger. Insects. She's now smelling where the warthog was. It's a smell that she'll become from having to when it comes to digesting rot. both feed on only fresh meat. Neither of those two parties have really evolved the ability to steal the food from larger predators. The leopard, though, not just its ability to steal food. Here we go, here comes another attack. Another attack. Ooh! Lots of oohs and ahs, folks. I know, it is just too gorgeous. But a leopard has got a better constitution for feeding, because it can feed on an impala carcass or something that's rotting in a tree for 2 to 3 days. And that takes a much better stomach than what we have or what a cheetah have. Screenshot time. Francis from Israel, you're asking me a question about, do I think this cub is advanced for its age? I don't know. I mean, this is the first time in my life that I'm seeing a cub of this age in the wild. But as far as things go, I believe it is pretty normal, pretty standard with regards to its size and its exploration abilities and its just general behavior. Obviously, it's got quite a little personality, which most of the viewers out there can probably agree with, because they've been following the show for years. Maybe they can comment what they think. Do you think that this cub is more advanced than it should be for its 3 months of age? Lots of viewers out there that know these leopards very intimately. I wonder if you can help Francis out there. She comes again. Mum's tail is just endless amounts of fun. She's still just got those milk teeth. Wait until they get a bit sharper. It's a follow me sign and a toy at the same time. I mentioned that the cub uses to follow mum through the long grass when she's following. Have left us. Can you believe we are here on our own watching this in the drainage line? Nice and cool. We could stay here all evening if we didn't get hungry. Very good friend Scott Dyson, who has a hungry lion.
Yes, we do have a hungry lion and lots of flies who are busy doing their business on that twig and on the carcass beyond it. Now, it seems like the lioness may have just stopped feeding. We can switch over to the rover cam to get a view of her panting and deciding what she wants to do next. Sadly, we don't really have a view of her from where we are positioned here with the main cam on the vehicle. And absolutely awesome stuff. What a drive it's been this afternoon. Not only this morning, but also this afternoon we've been absolutely spoilt by some fascinating sightings. What is your next move going to be? Are you going to lie down next to the rover and have another snack? It looks like you are. She's not quite finished yet. There's lots of nice hunks of meat there that she can rip off. And aren't these views just too good to be true? I must reiterate and apologize. I did touch on it a bit earlier about the writing that you can see on the center of your screen, or the bottom of your screen. We're going to work on trying to resolve that problem, but at the moment we're not too sure how to actually get rid of it at the time being, so forgive us for that. But the views that we are getting here, I think, override that writing. And if you're looking at the writing, urge you to just rather look at where the real action's at, and that's where the lions are gobbling up this zebra. She's battling to find a spot that she's comfortable to kind of chew on, though. It seems like she's trying to work out her next angle of attack to get some nice hunks of meat. Tricky business, that is for certain. These wild animals often make it look a lot easier than it is to consume raw, fresh, unprocessed meat. Judith, you've noticed her claws piercing into the zebra's skin as she tries to get a good grip, and yes, they are extremely flesh in comparison to the hide of the wild animals that roam these plains. Well, like I said, what an incredible day it's been out on safari in Africa, not just here in the Sabi Sands, but also up in the Masai Mara with the crew up there. A big thanks to everyone involved, the technicians that get all the wizardry together to send you these pictures, the girls in the final control room, and the cameraman. Well played to everyone. Be sure to tune in to tomorrow's safaris to make sure you don't miss out on any action.